Hi, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sarah O'Donnell, and I'm the CEO for Tri-Town YMCA and this year's West Suburban Philanthropic Network's Philanthropy Awards Chair. It is a joy to be here in celebration of this year's honorees and finalists. It has certainly been an unprecedented time in our history, but what has remained constant, even more so now, is the incredible kindness of so many friends that live and work across our western suburbs. They have been committed to not only sharing their hands and their hearts for supporting emergency response efforts in addition to the day-to-day operations, but the profound gratitude so many people are sharing and joining in to share with one another is exceptional. During this time, it is very important to carry with us a few things every day. Grace and vulnerability for learning as we go along. You may see a little bit of that as part of today's celebration. One of these days, I may even have to put together a bloopers reel. Courage and bravery to keep moving forward into the unknown and allowing the space to hold one another up as we keep our nonprofits and the safety net tight for our region's most vulnerable neighbors. Today would not be possible without the generous support of our nominators and our kind sponsors. Thank you to DuPage Foundation, B. Gunther Awards, Jaffe Films, and the Koranda family for your generosity. As we move through today's YouTube live watch event, please be sure to share your hellos with one another in the comment section. By the way, that's where we'll be posting the winners of our door prizes too. So keep an eye on the chat box, but more importantly, take time to connect and share in the fellowship of your friends in philanthropy and volunteerism. And in typical fashion of the WSPN Awards Luncheon, we may be a few minutes longer than anticipated because of the great messages being shared today. It is my privilege to turn the Zoom controls over to Kate Bossum, our president of WSPN, for a heartfelt message before we begin today's presentation. Much peace and good health to all of you.
Welcome to the WSPN celebration. We thought it best to kick things off with something that looks familiar, a Zoom call. Video conferencing has become a part of our everyday lives, and we hope that you're doing well. In the following video, you will see incredible individuals and organizations celebrated, and we hope that you enjoy watching them with us. We also wanted to thank you for participating this evening. Again, this year we are celebrating many amazing categories of honorees. Backed by popular demand are a few of our categories that we invited you, our WSPN membership, to vote on. Those three categories are Nonprofit Volunteer of the Year, Nonprofit Rising Star of the Year, and the Nonprofit Executive of the Year. The finalists for these categories are Nonprofit Volunteer of the Year, Vicki Coletta from the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago and Project Help, Madeline McAfee of the People's Resource Center, Ray Rupsearch of the Tri-Town YMCA and Villa Park Chamber of Commerce. Join me in thanking these wonderful volunteers for all the time and talent they give back to their communities. Thank you. The Nonprofit Rising Star of the Year finalists are Caitlin Balsowitz of the DuPage Foundation and Jessica Stanley Asselmeyer of Northern Illinois Food Bank. Congratulations to both of these incredible individuals. The finalists for the Nonprofit Executive of the Year are Shannon Hartnett of Northeast DuPage Family and Youth Services, Carol Simler of DuPage PADS, and Julie Yurko of the Northern Illinois Food Bank. Thank you to these executives for their leadership and passion for their causes. Again, we thank you for being with us this evening. It looks a little different. We're not all gathered together in a big group, which we all enjoy and love, but we're able to get together in this way and share in our passion and commitment to our communities and to one another. Congratulations to our honorees. Congratulations to all of you, and have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is Kate Bossum. I'm the Director of Advancement at Child's Voice, and I'm also honored to serve as the President of West Suburban Philanthropic Network. Welcome. What an exciting thing. We are so excited for today's celebration, and we couldn't be here without you. So thank you. You are a critical part of the work WSPN does, and we're so excited to celebrate with you. Join us today, and you can't wait to hear from these amazing honorees. Kudos to all the crew and all the team that made today possible. But truly, thank you. And our mission is to support nonprofit professionals and development professionals and advance philanthropy. Philanthropy has a really crucial meaning right now, the love of man and humans. And in this time of constant change and worry and fear and programs making changes all the time, we need to work together. And we're so excited to celebrate that with you. But please take a minute to honor yourself too. You're doing the work. The nonprofits are out there changing the world and surviving the chaos that's going on right now. You're feeding children that don't have food. You're housing people without homes, supporting people in homes with violence, and making sure that animals have somewhere safe to be. Thank you. You're making this amazing work possible. And so while you celebrate with us tonight, we celebrate you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today. We hope you enjoy the ceremony, and we know we will too. I'm honored to introduce Chad Pedigo, Vice President for Development at DuPage PADS. He'll serve as our MC today, Master of Ceremonies, do-gooder extraordinaire, and I know we're all going to have a great time. Thank you so much, and have fun.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the 2020 West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. While we had hoped to welcome you in person for our annual luncheon, we are happy to be providing you with these video segments produced at Jaffe Films today, where we are safely bringing in each honoree to receive their award following guidelines for health and safety, precautions of wearing masks until we get on camera. Each of our guests today receiving their award have come to be recognized as contributors to some of the greatest philanthropic works here in our West Suburban community. And we are so grateful to you for joining us for these video segments as we can honor their contributions together and recognize the philanthropic spirit that they have brought forward to the West Suburban philanthropic area. I'm Chad Pedigo, today's host, board member with the West Suburban Philanthropic Network, and Vice President of Development for DuPage PADS. It is my privilege to be with you today in these video segments honoring some of our incredible contributors to the West Suburban Philanthropic region and their wonderful contributions as our Philanthropic 2020 award recipients. Thank you for joining us for these videos and for being patient with us as our first time producing in a virtual format honoring this year's award recipients. Hello, and thank you again for being with us here today for the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. I'm joined here in the studio by Alice Wood from the DuPage Foundation and two remarkable young ladies being recognized as our Young Philanthropist of the Year. Sanjana and Nandini have started a program that is changing lives, and we are excited to hear you share more about it with us today. Sanjana, how did you feel when you found out that you were being recognized with the award this year?
I was really honored, especially because I know most of the award winners are much older, so it felt pretty cool to be winning an award at 18.
I would say it's very cool, and we're excited to have you here in studio.
Thank you.
And Nandini, how did you feel?
When Sanjana sent me a text saying that we were up for this award, I was shocked. It was so cool for me to see this because some of the people that we were originally up against were like doing such cool things, and they were so impressive. I was just kind of honored to be like thought of.
Well, we are honored to have you here in studio, and we want to thank Alice as well for being here today. She's very familiar with some of your philanthropic efforts so far in such a short period of time. And Alice, how did you come to know these two remarkable young ladies?
So I met the young women, they were speakers at the Sunrise Rotary in Naperville, and we get a lot of great speakers, but this was a showstopper. I mean, everybody had their jaw on the ground. Like, what you have accomplished is just mind-blowing, and it was so inspiring, and you just sit there and think, man, there's a lot to look forward in this world, knowing that there's people like you that are going to go and lead the way. And I just thought, I want to know them. I want to be their friends. And it's funny, Sanjana asked me to be her mentor, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Could you be mine? It's like, really? So anyway, they'll tell you more about their story, and you'll see why I'm so impressed by them.
Thank you, and we're so glad you're here to share in this story. That brings us to Side by Side Smiles, ladies. This is such an incredible initiative, and it all started because of a family member, if I heard correctly.
So my uncle was actually born with cerebral palsy, and so I grew up around kids with special needs. And he lived in India, so I also saw a lot of children who were underprivileged with special needs, and I saw their families struggling to provide for them. So here in Naperville, I really wanted to do something to help the surrounding community, which is why we started our special needs toy drive.
Excellent. And Nandini, how did you become involved?
So Side by Side Smiles actually started off as a way for Sanjana and I to raise money and awareness for children in need of cleft lip and palate surgeries. But we really wanted to see like the impact that we were making and choose a local project. So when Sanjana brought up the idea of starting a toy drive for special needs kids, I was so excited because I'd never seen anything like this before, and it was just such a cool idea.
That is excellent. And were there others that helped you on this journey as you first got started?
Yeah, so I think a lot of credit goes to both of our moms because they're the reason we're friends. Sanjana and our moms actually met at the OBGYN when they were pregnant with us, and then they found out they were having girls that were born around the same time. So when we were born, they kind of shoved us together. And our moms have just really been a lot of our major supporters this entire time, and our entire families in general. Like, both of our parents have woken up early to drive us to all of these events, and they just show all of their support to us. So they were so helpful.
And I also think community leaders like Alice have really helped us, and none of this would be possible without them. And like, of course, all the volunteers who helped us wrap the gifts and anyone who's organizing the schools, like those are the daily leaders that make these things possible for us.
And I have to weigh in on this because I volunteered to help with the wrapping of the presents, and to see how many kids they pulled together to volunteer to, first off, to get all these gifts and, the toys and the books. All these kids show up to wrap when it's their day off. They didn't have to be doing this.
So tell us, ladies, where did the name Side by Side Smiles come from?
So when Sanjana and I came up with the idea of like coming up with a charity, we stayed up all night having a sleepover trying to come up with a name for our organization. And eventually we came up with Side by Side Smiles because the idea from that basically came from the fact that we would be giving smiles to all of the people that we were helping, and it also made us feel better because knowing that what we were doing was making an impact.
Sanjana, Nandini, we are so excited to have you here and recognize you this year as our Young Philanthropists. Can you share with me if there's people that you would like to thank or people that have helped influence you on your journey?
I think we definitely like to thank Alice for, first of all, nominating us for this award, and she was very helpful during the whole toy drive process. And then, of course, our families, our parents, and then all of the volunteers who have helped us do everything.
So we'd also like to say thank you to everybody that supported us, whether it's making a small donation or donating their time. They've all helped us grow to where we've gotten so far. So a big thank you to everyone.
Sanjana, Nandini, you are both two very inspiring young philanthropists. Do you have a message for other aspiring young philanthropists out there who want to do good in our community?
So I think I would say that if anyone has an idea or something that they want to change, I would say go for it because the world needs more leaders. And I think that the best way to prove that our generation is a generation of change is to start something.
And I don't think there can ever be too many people trying to do good things in this world.
Thank you, ladies, for the good you're doing. We're so glad you're here. And thank you, audience members, for being with us. Please learn more about Sanjana and Nandini's efforts with Side by Side Smiles by visiting the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's website and see how you can support these remarkable young ladies and the good work they're doing today.
Hi, I'm Dave McGowan, the president and CEO of the DuPage Foundation. And it's my pleasure to represent the foundation as a proud sponsor of this year's WSPN Awards. On behalf of the foundation, I'd especially like to thank some of the members of the foundation family and congratulate them on their awards. Kate Balsowitz, our development officer, is a rising star. Our donor advisors and friends, Les and Mary Wiberg, on their Philanthropic Leadership Award, and my colleague and friend, Karl Maurer, on his Humanitarian of the Year Award. Congratulations to all the awardees on behalf of the foundation, and best wishes for continued success.
Hello, and thank you for joining us again here at the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. I'm honored to have here in studio Shefali Trivedi, the Executive Director of Giving DuPage, and our 2020 honoree of the Philanthropic Business of the Year, Paul Feith with Paul Gregory Media. Thank you both very much for joining us here in the studio today.
Thanks, Chad.
It is a privilege to bring you forward as our honoree this year in this video format, something we've never attempted before, but we're really honored to be able to share our appreciation for the great work you've done in recognizing you as this year's philanthropic business, Paul. And so when we received your nomination, we learned about just some of the great philanthropic works that you have made a part of your business, Paul, but tell us, how did it make you feel to receive this nomination and be awarded this year?
Honestly, I think I was shocked. I've grown to love the banquet that you guys have every year, and I've always been inspired by the organizations that get up and tell their story. Incredibly inspired. It's one of my favorite luncheons to go to. So to be recognized among that same category and with those same people in that same company was actually shocking to me, to be honest.
And with your business, especially in these trying times and challenges with COVID-19, have you had to change the model or change the way that you've been helping others?
Change the way we've been helping others, for sure. We are a digital marketing agency, so we already live in what others are forced to live in. So helping organizations pivot to an all-digital model is kind of in our comfort zone, and it helps us with those organizations to embrace it and be comfortable with it and not lose a step. So that's been very fulfilling.
Excellent. Thank you. And Shefali, as you were thinking about a nominee for philanthropic business, what made you come to determine that Paul and Paul Gregory Media are representative of a philanthropic business this year?
Well, they just come to mind. Of course, Paul Gregory Media has supported our organization through in-kind services, but when I've gotten to know the firm and Paul and telling me about projects, his company is helping so many nonprofits in pro bono projects. And especially in this digital marketing space, that's kind of remarkable because we all know in the philanthropy sector how important digital marketing is to get our message across, to talk about our mission, to engage people and get people involved in supporting us. And so I know for a fact what Paul has done with his firm. I mean, it blew me away when I saw the actual numbers, like 67 pro bono projects to 24 organizations.
Paul, what inspired you to use your business to accomplish this good and help others?
I don't want to say the pandemic inspired me, but certainly a lot of nonprofits were feeling the pinch, right? Sponsorships especially were kind of iffy, right? Who knew what that would look like? So we just decided to jump in and say, all right, there's a lot of underfunded nonprofits out there that could use some help. So we're rolling up our sleeves, and I am incredibly proud of the team that is now PGM. It's there, and by the way, this award is definitely shared with all of them, and I'm talking about Marissa Schmidt, I'm talking about Rick Casero and Allison Shire. These people embrace social good. Okay.
It is really inspiring as a socially responsible business, all of the good that you're doing and giving back to the community. What are some of the ways that you give back as a B Corp?
Volunteer, for certain. We serve on boards, we serve on committees, and we just roll up our sleeves, and whether we're packing food in boxes or whatnot. But the biggest way as a company that we give back is volunteering hours of our time in the specialized skills that we have in digital marketing. It's almost rough to say this, but this year we have given back the equivalent of $187,000 so far. That equates to about 1,500 hours. 1,500 hours from 4 people. I don't know where they fit it in, to be honest. I don't know where I fit it in, but that's probably the biggest way that we give back. And when you're working and partnering with mission-based or purpose-driven organizations, and they have work to do, and they have smaller budgets, and the work must go on no matter what the budget. So we work with the budget that they have.
You know, I think he said it earlier, and I'll just reemphasize it. The entire PGM team is enthused and energized by our mission, right? So all the nonprofits they support, they wholeheartedly jump 1,000% behind that mission. And to have a partner and an advocate in your work is everything. Above all other things, that's everything.
So again, congratulations, Paul, as being the 2020 recipient of Philanthropic Business of the Year. We are so grateful for the good work that you do, and thank you for being here on behalf of your team to receive this award. Please go back and share it with them. And Shefali, thank you for being here on behalf of Giving DuPage.
My pleasure. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Shefali.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I'm so glad. Thanks, WSPN, for honoring folks.
And to our audience members, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate you being a part of the awards here today. And to learn more about Paul Gregory Media with Paul's efforts or Giving DuPage, please visit the West Suburban Philanthropic Network website for additional information. Congratulations to the Glen, Ellyn Infant Welfare Society, this year's award recipient for Nonprofit Service Club of the Year. Unfortunately, they could not be with us here in the studio today, but we are very proud to present you with this year's honor as the Service Club of the Year in the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. We are excited to welcome our Foundation of the Year recipients, the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation, and Kelly Hartwig as the Midwest Executive Director. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, and we're really honored to be here today and really appreciate receiving this award.
Kelly, thank you for joining us here, and we're so excited to learn more about the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation and the great works you're doing here in our community. How did you feel when you found out that you were nominated and had received this year's Foundation of the Year award?
I was surprised and really thrilled. I shared the news with our internal team and our board, and they were just absolutely honored to be the recipient of this award. So thank you.
And the foundation's less than 10 years old, is that correct?
Yes, we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary in the Midwest. The foundation itself is an international foundation and has been around for about 27 years. But our local Midwest chapter started in 2011, and we've been serving the community in Illinois, Ohio, and Missouri since then.
And the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation is much more than just a grant maker. You're boots on the ground and actively involved in the communities you serve. Could you share with us some of those local projects here in the western suburbs?
Sure. The Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation brings together the insurance industry in a philanthropic way. Truly, that is our mission, is to unite the insurance industry in philanthropy. Every year we host an annual week of giving, where our insurance companies come together and volunteer throughout the country, including here in the western suburbs. And whether they're painting at DuPage Pad's location or cleaning up a park, we have people out providing service throughout the community. And we've actually expanded our volunteer service beyond just Week of Giving, so we're doing things throughout the year as well.
That's remarkable work, and thank you so much for doing it. And so philanthropy and insurance are going hand in hand thanks to the IICF involvement here in the Midwest area. What are some of the accomplishments or projects that you've enjoyed most supporting over your time as the executive director?
We have done a significant amount of work with Cradles to Crayons and Breakthrough, and you're probably familiar with Cradles to Crayons. They service the whole Chicagoland area. They have a large warehouse where it's very easy for us to get out and volunteer there. We go to their backpackathon where they're packing backpacks. We've funded that event as well, providing 2,800 backpacks for kids at the beginning of a school year. Breakthrough, we've gotten involved with their shelters and their early literacy programs. So we do try to work with nonprofits that have a focus on education, health, and safety. So a lot are, really tied to helping people with food insecurity or housing insecurity, children with literacy. So there are a lot of different ways that we can get involved in the community.
That's excellent. And what have you found the most fulfilling with your involvement as part of the foundation?
Yeah, what I found most fulfilling is just knowing at the end of the day that our efforts are helping communities and enriching lives. Every day is a new day. And as you know, things are constantly changing. And though we're not boots on the ground necessarily like you are, we like knowing that we're supporting such wonderful organizations that are doing so much to help our communities.
We are honored to have you as the representative for the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation here in the studio with us to accept this award today. And we're honored to have you, our audience, here to learn more about how the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation is promoting good works across the western suburbs. To learn more about Kelly Hartwig, Executive Director for the Midwest Division, and the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation, visit the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's website for additional information. Joining us here as our guest now is Maria Pesqueda from the Healthy Communities Foundation, here to help us recognize our 2020 Grantmaker of the Year, Greg DiDomenico, the President and CEO of Community Memorial Foundation. Friends, we're so glad you're here today. Thank you very much for joining us. Maria, I would love to start with you. Please tell us about how you've come to know Greg and his good works and helping us recognize him here for everything this year.
Certainly. Well, I have had the privilege and honor of knowing Greg right as he came on to his role, his pre-role at the Community Memorial Foundation. And certainly, as we all know, he walked right in and brought this joy into the room, and I think has continued to bring joy and goodwill into the region of Community Memorial.
And Greg, in your role, you have helped to promote philanthropy far and wide across our home community here in the western suburbs of Chicago. Please tell us what drew you to that role.
Thank you, Chad, and thank you, Maria. And first of all, thank you to WSPN for this honor and recognition. So what drew me to the role was just a love of people and trying to make a difference. My parents always taught me that it's important to give back. It's important to be a part of something bigger. And that's why I always thought that working in philanthropy, working in the nonprofit sector was just that. We think at the foundation that it's really important not just to be a grant maker, but a change maker, and believe that change happens locally. And so it's really important to be able to work together, to have a shared vision, to be able to ensure that our communities are healthier, are stronger, or more equitable. And that's our shared vision, to be able to transform the western suburbs, to be able to look at this region and make it the healthiest in the country.
And Greg, how did you feel when you found out you were this year's recipient for the 2020 award as Grantmaker of the Year?
Maria and I were actually in D.C. For Foundations on the Hill when I got the email. And at first, I was so grateful to be able to work and be a part of this region. But then I thought, this award is not about me. This award really belongs to our board and our staff and the work that we do together.
It's an excellent answer. Share with us, what is the world of a grant maker like?
We truly believe that grant making is about partnership. It's about making a difference. It's about change making. And as we work together to make an investment in the work of our grantees, we at the foundation, at Community Memorial Foundation, have a long history of capacity building. And this is a special year for us. It's our 25th anniversary year. And we decided to really focus this year on our grantees, on our community leaders, and to help our communities be stronger and healthier, and to give our grantees more tools to be able to build their capacity, to be able to grow their fiscal resilience, and to be able to help them so that we can work together to improve positive health outcomes for the next 25 years.
You've certainly accomplished that, and we can't wait to see what the next 25 years have in store. I know that you and the good people of the Community Memorial Foundation have been an inspiration for the West Suburban Philanthropic Network, and then you personally have been an inspiration for Maria here, myself, and others. Is there anyone who inspired you along your journey?
Yeah, many people, but I've been thinking a lot about my mom and dad and thinking about how and what they taught me and how they modeled making a difference and how they modeled service in their own lives. And in particular, I remember something my mom used to tell me, and and Maria has heard this before, she would say, Gregory, and I know then that I was in trouble. She would say that awards and plaques and trophies are heavy. And they're heavy for a reason. And that's because that informs us, that tells us that there's so much work that still needs to be done.
Thank you. What do you see for the future of philanthropy in our community? Where are opportunities, especially in this changing and difficult landscape?
It's a great question. And I think it's about, again, togetherness, that none of us can do it alone. If anything that we've learned from the last 5 months is that what we already knew is that we're stronger together. And so to be able to leverage our work, and not just dollars, but to be able to leverage our leadership, our influence, our working together is really the path forward. We at the foundation have a program called Youth Philanthropy, and we titled it Young Changemakers. And we often say that the true hallmarks of good philanthropy are kindness and gratitude. And so as Maria was talking, I was just filled with such gratitude and encourage all of us to continue to be kind to one another.
Thank you so much for being here today, and it is a privilege to honor you with this award. Maria, thank you for joining us and helping us to recognize Greg and sharing more about how he has inspired you and continues to inspire our community.
You can get involved with WSPN. Join one of our committees. Our luncheon committee puts on great events just like this awards presentation. We have a membership committee or help with our communications and social media. We need you and we want you involved.
We're so glad you're here with us today for the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. And joining me here in studio now is the core of philanthropy, our Volunteer of the Year, Madeline McAfee, and Morgan Abate from PRC to share more with us about Madeline's great work as the 15-year volunteer at People's Resource Center. Madeline, that is incredible. Thank you so much for joining us here in studio today.
I'm happy to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Of course. Now, 15 years is quite a legacy of volunteerism, but it all begins somewhere. Madeline, tell us, how did you come to be a volunteer at People's Resource Center?
Well, it started. I had a break in my work opportunities, and I was looking for something to fill the void. And I searched on a website and saw that People's Resource Center had some interesting opportunities. They were local, and they had a computer training program, which I found really interesting. But then I had an opportunity to co-instruct one time in one of the computer training classrooms, and that just kind of rang my bell. It was very satisfying to meet with clients, to help them, to see what their needs were, and that was really the start of it. That's what I've been doing for a long time now.
And it's such a great opportunity to create access, which is what People's Resource Center really provides to our community for those who might not have the ability. So Morgan, share with us for a minute, how does Madeline's great work impact People's Resource Center and the clients that are served?
Absolutely. Over the last 15 years, Madeline has dedicated 3,500 hours of her time to People's Resource Center. I know. And that includes everything from computer training to food rescue to a lot of the analytical projects that we don't necessarily have the bandwidth for, that she's been able to provide this deep experience to. And so what she's done throughout her 15 years volunteering with PRC has just gone across the board from emergency programs to empowerment programs to even, the behind the scenes stuff about how we should be expanding, what we should be looking at, how we can reach clients better with these programs, especially computer training.
Thank you. 15 years. That's an incredible time period for a volunteer to really have a great impact on our community, Madeline. Tell us about some of those students. What have your experiences been like as a volunteer educator, really, with People's Resource Center?
The students are amazing. I really think that I get more out of teaching them than they get from me. It's like I mentioned before. It's so gratifying when I see light bulbs go on over on their heads to say, "Oh wow, Excel can do this. I always wanted to do this." And I've taught PowerPoint, and I had one student that I remember put this whole. The end of the class is a not formal, but is a PowerPoint presentation that they try to integrate all the things we've learned over the 7 weeks of class. And this woman was into Zumba. So she put this whole PowerPoint presentation together that had videos and music, and it was like I was so floored. It was amazing. But with a little bit of coaching, these students can do whatever they want to do. And it's so gratifying to be able to help them do that.
Thank you so much for volunteering so many hours to help empower individuals to have not only the access but the skills required. It sounds like there's some great stories with the students. Morgan, could you share with us for a minute, what does Madeline's volunteerism mean to People's Resource Center and to this program?
Our volunteers are some of the best. I mean, we have 2,600 across the organization who are doing everything from teaching the computer training classes to helping to organize the clothes closet to doing intake. I mean, we could not be where we are without volunteers and community giving back in that way. And whenever an opportunity arises for someone to give back with a skill that they're really passionate about, whether it's tutoring or computers or even just helping make sure that people have enough to eat, there is something for you at People's Resource Center.
Morgan, thank you to People's Resource Center for nominating Madeline as the Volunteer of the Year. And Madeline, congratulations on receiving this honor. We're so grateful for everything you've provided to this community.
Well, thank you both to People's Resource Center for nominating me. It's such an honor. I know how many volunteers there are in the organization, and there's a lot of folks that do so many great things, and it's really, I guess I'd like to view myself as representing all those folks at People's Resource Center in being honored here today, and the same with the West Suburban Philanthropic Network. It's certainly an honor and humbling. I know how many folks from all the different agencies and organizations that put so much time and effort into helping and volunteering to make the world a better place for a lot of folks. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm totally humbled by this honor.
Well, we're so glad that you are here. Congratulations once again, Madeline, and thank you again, Morgan, for joining us here today. We'd love for you to learn a little bit more about Madeline and how to become more involved as a volunteer. Visit the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's website, WSPNonline.org, to learn more. Hello, and thank you for joining us here at the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Annual Philanthropy Awards. I have the privilege of joining us here in studio today, our not-for-profit professional rising star of the year, Kate Balsowitz, and Karen Fleming, Senior Manager at BKD. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us here today in studio. Karen, tell us, how did you come to know Caitlin, and how do you feel that she embodies the not-for-profit rising star this year?
I am the vice chair of the Next Generation Initiative with the DuPage Foundation, and I met Kate through that role when she joined DuPage Foundation in 2018. I was honored and inspired to have met her and quickly learned her vast knowledge of the nonprofits and the philanthropic community in DuPage County. And through all of our time working together and our personal friendship that's developed since, I've just continuously been inspired by how dedicated she is to the philanthropic community in DuPage County and how much she joyously spreads that knowledge with everybody she comes in contact with. A couple of ways I've observed Kate through my time in the Next Generation Initiative with the DuPage Foundation has been through her fundraising efforts at the annual gala. She's increased the fundraising contributions that have come in every year since she's been with the foundation. Additionally, our endowment for the Next Generation has grown significantly with her tenure.
Thank you very much for being here to help us recognize Kate's efforts in the community. Kate, congratulations. We're honored to present you with this award. And please share with us for a minute, how did you feel when you found out that you were this year's Nonprofit Professional Rising Star?
Humbled. I feel like the work that I do is on behalf of our entire community, and I'm quite literally not one always for the spotlights. So I'm just honored to have been recognized by my community, and really it means all the more that it was by my fellow fundraisers in the West Suburban Philanthropic Network. That's even more meaningful.
Kate, tell us, what are some of the accomplishments in your short time as the Rising Star that you're most proud of?
I'm probably most proud of being able to grow NGI and really bring philanthropy to people across our community. I think it's really important that philanthropy isn't just something for folks who have kind of made it, right? That it's something you get to do in the latter half of your career or in your retirement, that it's something you can do throughout your entire life. But I'm also really proud of the work that I've been able to do at the foundation overall. We've, especially in the past 4 months, we've raised over $1.2 million for COVID response, and I like that. That gets me a little verklempt in that, because I can't even begin to describe what an honor it has been to respond effectively to our community.
What do you look forward to most when it comes to philanthropy growing within our community in the course of the next few years?
I really look forward to the way that particularly next-gen philanthropists are looking at effective philanthropy, both through NGI as well as through many of the work that I've done with our fund holders and other donors. They're really thinking about not only where their passions lie, which is essential in philanthropy, but they're also thinking particularly what the needs of their community are.
Thank you. And you are inspiring others to pursue philanthropy across this community, but who inspired you?
But I'm also really grateful to both my parents and my in-laws, who are shining examples of what it means to give back to their community, both of their time and their talent, and when it's appropriate, their treasure. My parents have taught me from a young age that I am responsible for giving back to and being a part of my community. My mother's family were business owners, and that was embedded in the work that they did as business owners. And my in-laws have continued to carry that torch since I've known them, that who we are is defined by our work in the community. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my spouse, who deals with a lot of me rambling on about how excited I am about our work, but also deals with a lot of late nights and early mornings and me kind of running around the county.
Karen, again, thank you for helping us to recognize Kate's great efforts in our community here as our nonprofit professional rising star. Can you share with us some of the accomplishments in her work that you've observed in such a short time period?
Yeah, in addition to being the staff liaison for the Next Generation Initiative Committee, I was so proud of Kate last year when she received her accreditation for CFRE. She was in her second year, just starting her second year with the DuPage Foundation, and it was such an honor to see in her role as a development officer, her to receive that great accreditation.
Who are others that have helped you along this journey that you would like to thank?
I'd like to thank my colleagues at DuPage Foundation. I've worked there for about 2.5 years, and it has been an honor to work alongside them every day. I've both learned so much about who I am as a professional, who I am as a community member, and who I am as a fundraiser, and I'm so grateful to work alongside them.
Excellent. Well, we're so glad you're here today. Thank you for being our nonprofit professional rising star at the West Suburban Philanthropic Network 2020 Awards this year.
Every month on the third Thursday of the month, we hold educational programming for professionals just like you, nonprofit folks, fundraisers, executive directors, and we want you to join us. September, we're going to tackle a really important and timely issue, racial equity, diversity, and inclusion. Please join us for that important topic. In October, storytelling, getting the word out about your mission and telling your stories of your clients and those you serve. And then in November, back to raising funds, securing those major gifts, ensuring the sustainability of your organization, and being able to answer those hard questions. Join us. It's a great time. It's an hour and a half of your morning, and I promise you'll leave with new ideas and more excitement.
The West Suburban Philanthropic Network would like to congratulate Carol Simler for receiving the award of Nonprofit Executive of the Year.
Unfortunately, she couldn't be in studio here with us today, but she has shared these special words of appreciation for our viewers.
This honor of being named Executive of the Year comes as a complete surprise. Please know that I am humbled and thrilled to be recognized for my leadership. Over 20 years ago, as a new CEO, I posted a message to our staff, and the message continues to be as strong today. This message was a call to action to all staff of DuPage Pads to take the responsibility to sound the alarm for a movement of human dignity and to mutually serve one another. It was and is a call for us to be change agents here in one of the wealthiest counties in the nation. The message simply states, from this day forward, it will be we, our, and us. No longer will it be I, me, or mine. These many years later, it is still a call to action for each of us who are bound together as a community to have a mutual responsibility to build a better community and to call others to join in bringing hope as we rebuild and restore lives. Over the years, I was inspired daily by the joy of witnessing a person's talents and potential being tapped, seeing a person have a chance to blossom, and then to reach his or her full potential and contribute fully to our community. I'm deeply grateful to many people, members of the West Suburban Philanthropic Network, congregations, partners, volunteers, and individuals who believed in me and supported my leadership. Moving forward, let us continue to think like a community that cares for each one of its members, working together to build a better community and to stand together to rebuild and restore hope again in people's lives. So again, I say thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
The West Suburban Philanthropic Network is proud to present you with this honor, Carol, and thank you for all of your contributions and philanthropy that you have helped to create here in our community. And now I'm joined here in studio with Dave McGowan, President and CEO of the DuPage Foundation, and our 2020 recipient of the Humanitarian of the Year Award, Karl Maurer. Karl, thank you for joining us and being here in studio. Dave, thank you for coming today to help us recognize the great works that Karl has brought forth in our community.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
So, first and foremost, Humanitarian of the Year can mean so many different things. I would love to hear from you, Dave, about what Karl has accomplished here in our community and the good works that you've observed that makes Karl the perfect embodiment of what we celebrate as far as philanthropy and humanitarianism here in our community.
I first met Karl about 15 years ago through his work with the Next Generation Initiative at the DuPage Foundation, then came to learn that there was an incredibly long list of organizations that have benefited from his volunteer service and philanthropy in general. And one thing I would say is any chance he gets to make a difference, he takes advantage of it, especially from organizations from which his family has personally benefited. One thing I'd like to point out in particular is with the things that he does, I have no idea when he sleeps. I'm certain that's the lowest priority on the daily list.
And so, Karl, how did you feel when you were notified that you are the Humanitarian of the Year?
Well, it's an enormous honor. I'm very, very grateful. And having worked with the West Suburban Philanthropic Network for many years, attended many of their events and supported many of the member charities, I know a lot of the people that have received these awards. And so I'm very flattered to be in this company. Wonderful people, and it's a wonderful organization.
What set you on this path? What began your giving back and being a true humanitarian to our community?
So I'd like to think that I've always been charitable and philanthropically minded. But what really, I think, was the real eye-opener for me was 18 years ago, my son Dominic was born. And Dominic was born with multiple birth defects. And we were very quickly introduced into a world of hospitals and nurses and doctors. And then after Dominic was released from the hospital, a small army of people who came into our home and helped us. But for me, the real linchpin for me was one night in the hospital where I was laying in bed or laying on the floor, I should say, after having stayed there for 7 weeks. And for anybody who's been in a hospital for that length of time, you know that the interruptions during the night make it impossible to sleep, and I was practically insane from lack of sleep. And I remember one night promising God that if he could get me and Dominic out of this, that I would do whatever I could, anytime he asked, to help other people that were in need. And at that point, a nurse burst in the room to take Dominic's vitals, and I stayed up the rest of the night. But Dominic was released, and he did get better, and I never forgot my promise. And so I'm sure that there are people that might want me to help in more meaningful ways, because I just can't. I can't go without my 4 hours of sleep every night. But along the way, I've really tried to help, particularly the organizations that helped us. The Lurie Children's Hospital at the time was Children's Memorial, but they were fantastic to us. Ronald McDonald House, we could not have done this without the help of Ronald McDonald House. There were some nights I slept in my car. There are parents all over this country who are in the same situation that Ronald McDonald helps every single night, so I'm happy to help them. And then organizations like Easter Seals, the American Heart Association, the heart-lung machine that saved my son's life for his first heart surgery was invented 50 years ago. It's very easy for me to stand up in front of crowds of people at American Heart Association events and remind them that their donations could be helping people 50 years from now in the same way that donations from 50 years ago helped my family. It was really Dominic that has inspired me to try to reach beyond what perhaps normal people do when they respond to opportunities in philanthropy. But it's been a great pleasure for me down the road to have met so many wonderful people in the process, and to be able to be involved given my background, which is generally in the investment business. I've been an investment advisor for years. I'm a CPA and an MBA by training, which allows me to go into certain charities and help from a planning standpoint, whether it's strategic planning or working on goals, and really being deliberate about what they're doing and being organized about what they're doing.
As this year's humanitarian, could you share with us about some of the projects you're currently involved in, or perhaps some of the projects that you're most proud of that you've shared your involvement with?
I'm probably most proud of the time that I spent with Lurie Children's Hospital helping them build their new replacement hospital. I was very surprised one day to get a phone call asking me to be on the steering committee for that, and I remember saying, oh, there's plenty of people on the family advisory board that are happy to help out, and they made it clear they wanted me to be involved. So, and assured me, of course, that it wouldn't take a lot of time, just a few meetings and a few phone calls. It turned into a part-time job, and I really appreciated the opportunity to work with the architects, with the construction company, with the transition team, with the directors of medicine, to make sure that we could build a place that not only met the current needs of children like my Dominic, but could meet those needs long into the future. And the whole idea that they really wanted input from their customers, that they really wanted to hear what parents had to say, and kids had to say, I thought was very admirable, and I couldn't say no. So I'm very proud of that hospital. It's a beautiful building, and it'll be serving kids decades into the future. In addition to that, I've had the good fortune of working with an organization called Nourish for caregivers. And their focus is to try to minister to the very real emotional and spiritual needs of people that are in a situation like Gail and I are in, my wife, with Dominic. It's very stressful to be a caregiver. Not just a caregiver when you have a disabled child, but imagine all the people that are caring for disabled parents right now. It's very complicated, it's very stressful, and so I'm very happy to be involved with that organization as well. As much as I appreciate this award, I really think all the glory and the honor needs to go to God and needs to go to the charities that gave me the opportunity to help them. That's what humanitarian people do.
And I would certainly say that you have accomplished that. As this year's Humanitarian of the Year in the West Suburban Philanthropic Network, please share with us who has inspired you on your journey.
Well, Dominic, of course. My son Dominic has inspired me along the way, obviously. But, I have to point out this gentleman sitting right next to me, Dave McGowan. There's plenty of things that a guy like David could have done in his career and been very successful at any of them. But the fact that a man of his intelligence and his skills and talents has chosen to devote his career and his energies to the betterment of the community, that's very, very inspiring to me. And I see that not only in David, but I see that in the meetings that I go to, the networking events that I go to. I see it at Lurie Children's Hospital. I see it at Ronald McDonald House. So it's these people that are doing it every single day that inspire me. The other thing that inspires me is the parents that I run into. Being the parent of a disabled child is not easy. And anybody watching that has friends and neighbors and family going through this ordeal knows that. And so I think the real heroes in this world are not necessarily those on the baseball field or on a football field. To me, the real heroes in this world are the mothers and fathers who are silently and anonymously caring for children, caring for adults in their own homes, and sacrificing themselves every day in the interest of other people. Those are the people that inspire me.
To our viewers, thank you for being here with us today. We hope that you'll learn more about Karl and his excellent works by visiting the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's website in the link below. And please continue to join us here in just a moment. I'm joined in studio today with Mike Citrick from the DuPage Foundation and Les and Mary Wiberg for our Philanthropic Leadership Award category. We're so glad you're here, Les and Mary. Thank you for joining us today, and congratulations for this achievement. We're thrilled to honor you. And Mike, thank you for being here to help us recognize the philanthropic leadership of the Wibergs. Mike, would you share with us a little bit about how you've come to know the Wibergs and the good you're doing here in our community?
Well, thanks, Chad. I've known the Wibergs since 2014. Shortly after I returned to the foundation, we connected. They were looking to do some charitable planning work for some of their favorite not-for-profits, and we just became fast friends for some of our shared interests, and have just really enjoyed our time together.
Les and Mary, please tell us, how did you begin to become involved and have that philanthropic spirit?
We both benefited so much from the help and support of people all along the way, going all the way back to our earliest educational experiences as teenagers. And so we made up our minds that we were going to try and do as much as we could to support people, pay back, I guess, or pay ahead for all the good luck that we've enjoyed.
I understand, Mary, that philanthropy blessed you very early in your life and that you've continued to carry that legacy forward. Could you tell us a little bit about that philanthropic spirit that has helped to inspire you?
At high school graduation, I received a $600 scholarship, and I thought that was so important. And since I was living in Toledo, Ohio, and we had a city college, I was able to go there and, of course, live at home. And so the $600 got me through my 4 years of undergraduate work, and I've been ever grateful for that and hope to continue on.
So a $600 gift got you through your 4 years of undergraduate work.
Yes.
And now you have continued that legacy of giving so that others can continue to advance and go on to do great things in their lives.
Yes, we have continued to do that.
That is so inspiring, Mary. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
And Les, I believe that philanthropy has influenced your life along the way as well. Please share with us a little bit about your journey.
Was in a situation as a child coming out of high school with inability to go away to college. The money wasn't available. And I received several small scholarships at that time. And as a result, luckily, growing up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, there was a state university there. In fact, we lived on the edge of the campus. And so I enrolled there and enjoyed 4 undergraduate years there, which turned out, to my thinking, to be a gift from heaven. It was a wonderful experience. I immediately then went on to the university in Madison and completed graduate studies there. But once again, always had fellowship or a scholarship that paid for everything. So both Mary and I think we had free educations because of the kindness and thoughtfulness of other groups or individuals.
Education, access to the arts, you're creating quite a philanthropic legacy. Please share what other causes that you have enjoyed supporting through your philanthropic leadership.
Well, one of the things we did early on was support the School of Education at the University of Toledo. And they were doing a major rebuild of their building there. And we supplied the funds to do one of the floors of the building, which was a great pleasure for us and for Mary particularly, who was a graduate of that particular school. We've been very involved with the hospital here, our local hospital, Central DuPage Hospital, and early on got involved with the Ronald McDonald Project and helped get the fundraising going for the building of that wonderful facility. We've supported the pediatric department at the Central DuPage Hospital, and a special project there has been named after us.
Mike, how has it been working with Les and Mary? What are some of the accomplishments that you've partnered together with at the DuPage Foundation?
Well, it's been a joy working with Les and Mary. Earlier in the last decade, we started work on an arts initiative that was a community study, and it eventually gave birth to our Arts DuPage initiative. And in 2017, Les and Mary were very instrumental in helping us build a foundation for this initiative by starting an endowment. It was actually at one of our annual galas, and that kind of planted the seed. And since then, they've been very generous supporters with a significant gift last year, and then, if you don't mind me saying, a $100,000 matching challenge for this year. We have a goal over the next 5 years to try to build a $4 million endowment for Arts DuPage to make it self-sustainable, to really provide advocacy for the arts here in DuPage County, and the Wibergs have been leading the charge with that. And to have a partner that's so committed to helping us further our mission of building collective impact here in DuPage is just a joy and very inspiring.
Les and Mary, you have done so much to help create access and education for the arts here in our home community as part of your philanthropic leadership. Please share with us for a minute or two what that experience has been like for you and why you chose the arts.
We chose the arts because we felt people are very generous in education, childcare, general charitable giving, but the arts didn't seem to get that kind of support. And so starting with the Wheaton Municipal Band and later with the Wheaton Drama, we began trying to fund both these organizations with some additional money to get them to serve as an inspiration to others, I think, to become more generous with them.
As philanthropic leaders, how has the DuPage Foundation helped you to accomplish those efforts?
The staff there has been very understanding in terms of trying to create a greater community backing for a great variety of arts programs. And their Arts DuPage focus now, with the staff that they have behind it, is really branched out into a number of areas. Most recently, with the support of the College of DuPage's efforts to have the Frida Kahlo exhibition, which unfortunately had to be canceled this summer. but will be rescheduled for next summer. So there's a great sensitivity there among the staff members, and that's very helpful, I think.
You have demonstrated how we can be stronger together. You have inspired us, and we are so honored to have the privilege of having you here in the studio today, Les and Mary, to honor your great works. To learn more about Les and Mary and the great things that they have accomplished as philanthropic leaders as this year's 2020 honorees, please visit the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's website. Thank you. I'm joined here in the studio today with Dan Wagner, who he and his wife Lisa have nominated our 2020 Philanthropist of the Year. And we are so excited to have you here in studio, Sue and Ken Koranda, our 2020 Philanthropist of the Year. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your time today. It is our privilege to be champions of philanthropy here in the community. And Dan, I want to thank you for being here to help recognize Sue and Ken's efforts. Please share with us what first inspired you to nominate them for this award.
So my wife Lisa and I have known the Korandas for about 20 plus years, and we're aware of all of the different works that they've done in the community. They have a servant leader heart, and they are some of the most humble people we've ever met. But I got to tell you, when we called them and asked if we could nominate them, their first reaction was, "What? Us? We haven't done anything." It's like, are you kidding me? And so we were able to have the distinct honor to nominate these incredible people that we also call our good friends too. And it's just been terrific getting to have people understand their story.
Ken and Sue, how did you feel when you found out that you were being nominated for this award?
We never thought of ourselves at that level, so.
Yeah, as Sue said, Chad, we were very surprised, and even more surprised when we began to look at the list of people who had been awarded the recognition beforehand, because fortunately for us, we've known many of them and realized what wonderful people they've been to support different philanthropy around the western suburbs.
Well, we appreciate everything that you have done to advance the spirit of philanthropy in our community. And I would love to hear for a little bit about what were the roots. Where did this process begin? I know your family has a very heartfelt story that has inspired and been a part of your journey. So please share with us a little bit about how you found yourself on the path of being this year's Philanthropist of the Year.
After Rob passed, there were members in the community that came to us and asked us what we were planning to do to honor Rob in his life. And the community, the outpour of support from this community for us at that time was unimaginable. And Naperville North High School was very supportive and has been throughout the whole process after his death. And an important aspect, a commonality between Ken and myself was education and the importance of education. As Ken always told our children, an education is something no one can take away from you. So having a scholarship process seemed a natural step for us.
And so this scholarship that has changed the lives of so many was brought on by the loss of your son, but has now changed so many lives, honoring his memory. Ken, what has that meant for you?
Well, I think you raised an important point, Chad, because originally the scholarship was to recognize Rob's life, the Rob Koranda Scholarship. And he'd only been out of high school 5 years at the time, so his memory still was there. But we recognized that as time went on, that his memory would fade. Fewer and fewer people would know Rob, but yet they would see his attributes of interest in education and participation in activities like sports, his inclusiveness with other people would be shown through the recipients of the awards over the years, because although the younger people in the school, the freshmen and sophomores, would not know Rob, they would know the people, the graduating seniors who were receiving the awards, the graduating boy and girl. And that's really been the case. The focus has moved over the 17 years we've had the award, from Rob more to his values and to the values and the activities of the people receiving the awards.
In the course of 17 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarship funds have been awarded, but your good in the community doesn't stop there. Dan, thank you for being here again to help us recognize all of the philanthropic efforts of Ken and Sue. Please share with us a little bit from your perspective in knowing Karen and Sue about the philanthropic good that they've brought to our community.
Absolutely, and it's my honor to highlight just the quality of life that these two dynamic duos have created for DuPage County. Sue coming to Naperville all those years ago, getting involved with the YMCA and working in all the different volunteer aspects and areas, Salvation Army now, working on the board at North Central College, and then working together from a business standpoint with the Korandas owning Mid-America Bank that had 2,500 employees. They were the largest mortgage company in DuPage County. That power of working with all of those individuals impacted the community because of their leadership and their servant hearts. But related to all that, when you're in positions like that, they worked in creating the first Naperville Riverwalk Finance Committee, getting that started. Places that we just love. Morton Arboretum has had the leadership of the Korandas, of Ken and Sue. How many people love going there? And then this to be able to take this incredible experience, this tragedy that nobody could ever imagine, and to change that around to be so life-giving, and that it's not just a scholarship, it's impacting how kids want to achieve things. They're brought together as freshmen. They're talked about what Rob was about, and that you could achieve these things too. And so they're really given something to shoot for, to become better at who they are. So it's a really holistic aspect of what the Korandas have done for our community. And it's not just this Naperville community, it's all of DuPage County. And that's what it's so inspiring, and it's pretty awe-inspiring. And these guys don't even recognize it because they're so humble. That's not who they are. But when you think about all the different things, it really is just a wonderful celebration of really an example of what people should be like. And these two are people that I know my wife and I want to be like as well.
Thank you. And your business achievements do rival your philanthropic achievements. You have touched so many lives in the community, but who has touched yours on your journey? Are there those that have inspired you along your path?
The first two that come to mind are other children, John and Kate. Amazing to have been on this journey with us. And of course, Ken, watching Ken as he's gone through this process. But within the community, I'd have to say there's so many people that have supported us.
We're grateful that we can be here to recognize your efforts, but also the doors that you have opened for so many to become involved in your philanthropy and in the good and kindness that you've shared with our community. As the 2020 Philanthropists of the Year, you have created and uplifted the spirit of philanthropy that continues throughout our community to change lives, and we are honored to share in this privilege of presenting you with the award. As you think about the future of our community, obviously in the hard times we experience now with the COVID-19 or coronavirus, and the questions that still remain and linger, how do you see philanthropy continuing to play an important role in improving and uplifting lives?
I think, philanthropy, I think, is a core value for us, as it really is, I think, for many people in this town, in the country. I mean, there's no other country that has philanthropy like the United States does. And ours, of course, is just, what we do is just a very, very small part of anything. But when we first came to Naperville, there was a group of people a generation older, and they expected you, if you were in business, and to be involved in the community and to do things. And that's how I got involved in the Naperville Sesquicentennial in 1981 as finance chairman, and that was quickly followed by the finance chairman for Naperville Safety Town. Both were terrific projects. And of course, the sesquicentennial lasting project was the Riverwalk. All things that really had been done for many, many years before. And so those things continue now, and we see it with our children's age group in their late 30s, early 40s. They're involved in town. They're getting very involved in activities and sports and Heritage Society and JCs and other groups that are really making a change in the town of Naperville and in other places. So it'll continue as long as we keep that in our forefront, that it's part of what we should be doing as citizens. Because if we're interested in our communities, if we live here and work here, if we don't do the work, who will? Yeah. Who should? No one else. We should be big givers rather than takers. And that's what enhances our lives. And young people, younger people than us, they realize that, and they're doing a terrific job, I think.
It is our privilege, and I know that your philanthropic efforts, we could talk for hours about the great things that you've helped to achieve and influence, but I heard one particular I wanted to come back to. Ken, you've been very involved with the Morton Arboretum and continuing to create this beautiful area for us to share in here in our community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Morton Arboretum is really one of those jewels that I think isn't recognized enough. It's the foremost arboretum in the world. It has three things. It's a place of 1,700 magnificent acres, oak savannas, and so forth. They have tremendous education programs for all ages, from adults down to kids, including summer camps. And they do research there that is not done anywhere else in the world. There are almost 30 PhDs working at the Morton Arboretum doing research, as well as many other people. And very few people realize that. But in their area, botany, plants, and so forth, there's no place like it in the world.
I love that saying, being givers instead of takers. But you have also invited others to give and to participate in your philanthropy and to help to improve the lives of many through education, through assistance, and through your great work. So thank you for doing that. Dan, you have brought Ken and Sue here today to recognize their philanthropic efforts. Are there any other thoughts that you have about Ken and Sue and the great work they do that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I guess I want to highlight that I think it's God that brings people together, and God has really shown a light through them for all of us. And they are, again, as I highlighted, servant leaders for our whole community to look at, to know that this is what you want to be. You want to strive to be people like the Korandas. And I think that their work speaks for itself, and it's just an honor to be here with you today.
We're very privileged to have you here in studio today. Thank you so much for joining us. Dan, thank you to you and your wife, Lisa, for nominating Ken and Susan. It is an honor to present you with this year's 2020 Philanthropist of the Year Award. Thank you so much.
Like all of you, we owe many thanks. We thank you for watching today, for joining us and celebrating. We thank you so much to our sponsors that made this great award celebration possible. We thank all the nominators and individuals that shared their stories with us today. We are so excited to celebrate you, our guests, and so excited to share their amazing work in the communities. We can't do it without you, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us tonight. We couldn't have done it without all the great work of the production crew here at Jaffe. They did amazing work and kept us safe, and we can't thank them enough for that. I owe a personal thanks to the amazing board of directors at WSPN. Special thanks to Chad for his amazing MC skills as always. He's a wonderful part of the team, and we can't thank him enough. And of course, our incredible chair of the luncheon and the vice president of WSPN, Sarah O'Donnell from the Tri-Town Y, has done an incredible amount of work. Truly one of the best people I know, and I just can't thank her enough for all her hard work. So thank you to all of you, to everyone I named, and to those that I might have forgotten. But thank you for being part of this.